Cartel.
So you mentioned earlier that you hate the word gravity.
Yeah. Because gravity isn't real.
Because gravity isn't real?
Yeah.
Elaborate, my friend.
Gravity has never been proven. And there's actually two types of gravity that most people... When you talk to somebody about gravity, the first thing you're going to have to ask is, which one are you talking about? So, just work with me. I'm asking you, if I were to say gravity, what is gravity to you?
Well, like, what I learned gravity was something holding everything down. Like, keeping the fucking... No, I don't even fucking know, really, what gravity is.
Whatever comes to mind. Like
what I thought gravity was, like, freaking how everything stays, like, afloat in orbit. And, like, fucking how, like, how that one fucker, when that apple found that fucker's head, like...
Newton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit like that. You know
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and most people will go to that. That's their first introduction to it, is the Newtonian aspect of it.
Newtonian.
So,
Bang.
The myth goes, he's sitting underneath the tree, a fucking apple falls from the tree, and it hits him on the head. And this gives him the question, what made that fall? And he came up with it's not even a true hypothesis because it doesn't pass, but he basically said it was gravity, that there was an invisible force that is pulling it down to the center of the earth. Is that what you're...
Yeah, that's what, basically kind of what I learned.
Yeah, and everybody says that.
Huh.
However, that was before Einstein came along, and he said, guess what?
You're full of shit.
Nigga Newton, he's full of shit. That's not gravity. Einstein said gravity is the bending of space-time. So, what he says, or what he theorizes, is that space-time is like a flat plane.
Okay. I've seen that. Okay. I've seen that, actually.
And with the big masses, body of masses like planets, if you were to drop the planet
it
into
goes
there...
Floomp.
Yeah, it floops.
Yeah.
And then that curvature that mass has caused from the space-time, that is gravity. So, first of all, most people don't even know what the fuck they're talking about when they're talking about gravity.
Yeah, well, because no one really knows what it is, so...
Yeah, nobody does. To this day, they don't.
I watched a podcast with Tyson...
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
That's right.
And he even said himself that I don't know what gravity is. No one knows what gravity is.
Matter of fact, I don't even listen to Joe Rogan on the regular. However, the latest Joe Rogan interview with Neil deGrasse Tyson, they're talking about gravity. And you can see him visibly getting kind of...
Uncomfortable.
Joe even talks about it. He's like, why are you getting uncomfortable? Like, it's because they know they're wiggling around. They can't fucking step around it anymore.
Right.
So, either way, it's either those two types of gravity. So, right away, even if you look it up right now, gravity, as is the official science of it, is gravity is not a force. So, it's not a force pulling down the fucking apple that caused it to drop.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I want you to think about this. So, the science is a scientific method. It is not the study of this and that or blah, blah, blah. If I were to say what is science, it is a method. And there are very strict and narrow steps to it so you can establish the cause of an effect. It gives you an empirical result so you know for a fact that that is 100% the cause of the effect that you're trying to establish. That is science. Okay? So, first step in science is to observe a natural phenomenon. So, what did he witness? He witnessed a apple fall from a tree.
If that would have happened to me, I would have thought like, all right, that little stem got fucking rotted, and it's what happened.
That's exactly my point. So
that's what I would have thought.
So we're gonna do like a little hypothesis comparison to what he did and to what we think. Okay. So the first step is witness a natural phenomenon. Okay. That's the effect. Now, the next step is to do a hypothesis. You have to formulate a hypothesis, and it's already half done because what you observed is the dependent variable. There's 3 constituent parts to an experiment.
Okay.
And it's also part of the hypothesis. You have to have an dependent variable, independent variable, and controlled variables. The first half of your hypothesis is the effect. Apple falling from a tree.
Bang.
Okay, so that's the first step. There's your dependent variable. You have to come up with a hypothesis to what is causing that. And that would be, in Newton's example, gravity. So we'll just say gravity from what he thought it was. Okay? Gravity caused that. Okay, that is your independent variable.
Okay.
Now, the most important part of a scientific experiment is the manipulation by the experiment or the researcher of the independent variable to prove the cause of the effect. So, if he says, okay, apples fall because of gravity, fine, he is the researcher. How do you plan on varying or manipulating gravity? Go ahead. And just like you said, how can you manipulate something you don't know what it is?
Exactly.
All they have is math.
Guesses.
They said, we know that it's there because it's in our formulations and we can predict with it. But to know what it is, to hold it or blah, 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 it's not. They don't know what they're talking about. So let's go with our comparison.
Okay.
So there's no way we just established he can manipulate gravity in order to prove that's the cause.
Okay.
So first step, we see an apple fall. That's our dependent variable. Our cause that we think is the stem strength rotted out.
That's exactly what I would have thought. I wouldn't have thought, like, what pulled this down?
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, fuck, that shit.
So
wrong place, the wrong time right there.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to come up with a way to test and manipulate the strength of the branch, which is easy. Let's put some tape to reinforce it, and let's see if it continues to fall. Mm-hmm. It won't.
Right.
We have successfully manipulated the independent variable, proving the cause of the apple falling. Therefore, it is the branch strength that failed and the apple fell, not gravity causing it.
So, like you're saying, if it was gravity, the whole tape and everything would still...
Well, if it was gravity,
down, right?
You would be able to manipulate it because you would be able to absolutely prove it. That's the only way that science is 100% empirical. That's why science proves things 100%. Absolutely agree with that. It has very strict steps, and if you don't adhere to those steps, and if you can't take whatever you're doing through the scientific method, it is not science. And if you can't put it through the scientific method, it's not a theory. When people say theory, they're using it wrong. Like, hey, I have a theory about this and that. It's the colloquial way of saying it. But in science, science means very different things, or very specific things, I should say. And a theory comes at the end of testing your hypothesis. So if we proved that it was the stem strength, therefore we've proved that. So now we have been able to successfully take it through, and we can say we scientifically proved that it was stem strength and not gravity.
Yes.
We have absolutely been able to manipulate the independent variable. That is the missing key to most anything. There's a lot of pseudoscience out there that say they are science, but they are not.